And as if by magic, I think I'm on. Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. I would love to hear how your Wednesdays are going before I get too deeply into this. I'm laughing because just literally as I was about to press the button 30 seconds ago, the doorbell rang. And of course I have a co-worker at home these days since everybody works from home. And he's just put his head around the door and said, "Did you order a water butt?" So yeah, that's my story. Is I am now the proud owner of a water butt. So yeah, my Wednesday is going pretty ace. There's a bunch of people here in chat already. Hi Lauren. It's rainy in Miami. Well then Lauren, you should also be ordering a water butt, and it will also come to the door just when you are trying to do a stream. That is precisely what will happen. I have got Martin. Happy Wednesday to you too, Martin. Hi Greg. All the magics. Yeah, we'll start off with magic. Usually something goes wrong at some point. It's not live if there's not mishaps. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Something will happen, but I haven't touched the keyboard yet, so we're okay for now. Hi Noreen, thank you for joining. Diana is here as well. Hello, hello, hello. Lauren doesn't know what a water butt is. Okay, yes, it's you collect rain in it and it stores the rain and then you use the rain to water your garden. Yes, as Greg says, it is a big container for water. I have this dripping gutter off our workshop. So rather than it constantly dripping, I decided I would try and fit intentional dripping into a water butt. I mean, it rains a lot here, so it'll overflow at some point. But yes, I live in Yorkshire, up in the hills. It rains here, so there's no need to use tap water on the garden most of the year. That's my theory. A rain barrel. Thank you, Noreen, for the translation. Cool. So today I have a plan. However, this stream is very much not about plans. It's called Developer Drop-In. The idea is that you come and ask us anything about the Vonage API products or any of the stuff that you see. Then this stream is really about your questions. I am just here for entertainment and to join the questions up together, really. So it's open discussion. Please type in the chat if there's anything you want to tell us or ask us or really, yeah, I'm here for a good chat. That's my story. Oh, good. We've got unpronounceable people. And now are you exegete or exegete, maybe? Good morning. It's morning where you are. Okay, good morning. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to try and... I feel like every week on this stream particularly, we build something, but we also... we use a bunch of different tools, sometimes when we're debugging things or just to make stuff work on our local dev platforms. We work a lot with APIs. We've done dedicated streams on webhooks. There's a bunch of tools flying around. And I think if you're not familiar with all those tools, it's useful to be familiar with them. So this week I thought I would sit down and actually show you some stuff. And also to give you a chance to ask questions and crucially, because I am by myself this week, crucially share tips. So sharing tools, sharing ideas. I think we each have our own favourites, but there's always more that you haven't tried and a bunch of things that you can share. So I am going to start with curl, I guess, but I'm also going to start by actually setting up something that I can curl to. So for this, let me just put on my screen share, which is going to be, I have too many buttons, this one. So I made this little demo project. It's just a Flask app. It returns planetary data. So I have that locally. I'm going to set that up and then use that as my curl endpoint. So the first question is, which window is this? Oh, maybe this one? Okay, cool. It's the planets and webhooks thing, and I need to... Flask is a magic word. So I have my Flask expert, Diana, here. Hi, Diana. And don't worry, she's already seen it. So I know that I can do this. Flask app, and then run. Okay, perfect. So it's come up on port 5000, and I can curl to that. Let's just put that in a new window. Please let me know if this font is or is not big enough. Let's just get rid of the directories here. I'm going to go one bigger and hope that that's a good balance. So if I call to localhost 5000 and the endpoint planets, then here comes some JSON. And if you read the JSON, you can see there's a bunch of stuff there that describes the different planets in the solar system. And there's a link in the README for which NASA information page I took this data from. So this is fine and cool. Now, I'm already being asked if I've used HTTPie. Yes, it's really good. Should we use it now? F in the chat for Pluto. Yeah, but Chris, there's a whole bunch of other microplanets. So, like, here's the link. I'm already on the first tangent. We're 8 minutes in. Everything's fine. Here's the link to the moons, right? And you sort of go, how many planets does each planet, how many moons does each planet have? Like, da-da-da-da-da, then there's a load of words. Keep reading, and you get dwarf planets, right? So, Pluto, okay, cool, we know about that. But we've got Eris, Haumea, Make, sort of a name is that for a planet, and Keres, all hanging out here in the dwarf planets category. So, like, it doesn't really matter what else we do today. We've had an excellent conversation about dwarf planets. Like, awesome. So yes, I did discriminate against Pluto because I was basically hand typing the data and I was too lazy. But it's all coming from here. So Chris, if you patch this now, I will merge it and we can have Pluto. Excellent. Okay, good. What was I doing? HTTPie. So HTTPie, it's available on most platforms, cross-platform tool. It's a more friendly command line tool for making HTTP requests. It's probably more humane if you're just typing the HTTP requests. I tend to use curl because I know it really well. However, we've already had a shout out for HTTPie, so I'm going to show it you and we're going to paste the link into chat as well. So it gives you this command, HTTP, and then I can just use the same URL, localhost 5000 planets. And what's cool about HTTPie is, first of all, it shows you the output, the JSON there, pretty printed, syntax highlighted. But what you can't see, but I'm going to scroll up and show you, is at the top of the response, it gives you the status code, it gives you the headers that it received. So it's, without going the whole kind of curl-v, you get the response headers and then this all-important status code. So that is a really neat shortcut. A really neat feature. Mouth saying shortcut because Brain was reading it off the comment. My favourite, shortcut HTTP and then just :500/planets. I am going to give that a go. HTTP, so it just assumes the local host, is that right? And then there's my path. Very nice. So I've already learned several things. I really enjoyed the chat about the dwarf planets. More chat on the dwarf planets is really nice. Isn't that nice? Yes, that is really nice. However, it completely undermines what I was going to show you. So we're going to go back a step to curl because I want to show you some JSON handling stuff in this context, but you could use this to handle JSON in any other context as well. Totally jumped to the shark. No, that's fine. I'm here for geeking out about things. So also in the README for this is a bunch of tools that I like. So I'm going to quickly share some links with you. Copy the link. So this is the link for curl. The big advantage with curl is that it's available everywhere. So it's probably already installed in most cases. And the other cool thing about curl is it's so widely used that we can it's so widely used that it shows up in all sorts of other places. I see the bang project command and we don't have it, but here is the GitHub project that I am referring to. There we go. Oh, and Chris was faster than me because I was talking. Thanks, Chris. Yes, perfect. There's a way of getting like Twitch API GitHub button integration. I have not done that yet, but I should, because I think that would be amazing. Cool thing about curl is if you're in your browser and you go to the web tools, here in network, I think I need to refresh. Yes, you can see everything that gets loaded like this. Oh, GitHub's pretty chatty. This might not have been the best example, right? But anyway, and then you can right click on it, copy, and then do copy as curl. And if I take that and paste it, I'm not sure if I should actually. I'm gonna. If I take that and paste it, then you get all of the everything, that all the context, the cookies, all the session and everything that would be sent with that from my browser. So if you need to do anything, if you need to debug a problem where the browser can't load it, there's an Ajax error, you're not sure why, you can do copy as curl to get everything, the headers and everything that request is sending. And that's another reason why curl is pretty handy. Okay, so back to my curl command. You do this, you get JSON. I'm sure I've got humans in chat that enjoy working with raw JSON. I am not usually one of them, it sort of depends. There's a bunch of ways to make this less painful. So starting with something for the Python people, you can just pipe it straight into the JSON module for Python and you'll immediately get pretty print. So that's an excellent first start. Sometimes that's all you need if you just need to eyeball something. So, you know, that's my opening bid, is you can get pretty print by posting it into there. You see at the top of the response, I get this progress, that's supposed to be progress output from curl. It detects when you're piping to something, so it's not outputting to the terminal, and it tries to write this progress output that you can see on, that's not in standard out, so it doesn't end up piped through, it's just visible here, so I guess it's on standard error. And I can stop that by using the -s. So now if I scroll back up to the top, I don't have extra output, right? Okay, cool. Okay, I've made my Python friend Diana, she's Katufa in the chat, super happy with my Python demo. See? I knew you'd like it. And Emma Dashi says that's cool as well. Yeah, I think so. So my next most favourite tool, and probably the one that I use the most, is for working with JSON, specifically with curl. And Vonage has a bunch of these returns JSON type APIs, right? So I actually see this quite a lot. Is JQ. So here's JQ. And it gives me also pretty print, prettier pretty print. So it's pretty print with syntax highlight, right? And that's good. JQ is a whole programming language in itself. So you can do like JQ.4 and get just the fourth element. Or how about this? JQ.4.name, just to pull out the thing you want. So this is really handy if you're getting a complex response that has some sort of ID. So we have a few that return JSON, and then you need like an application ID or a request ID or something from the response to feed into the next thing. So you can use JQ to like wire up a bunch of piped together things to kind of chain them together, which I think is really nice. And I do use these tricks from time to time. Adam says, I use JSON_PP for nice JSON formatting, though it might be client specific. I haven't come across that one, so let's do some research where it works. And XG says, I like that it also colorizes the output. Yeah, it makes it a bit easier on the eyes. I quite like the color. You can do a bunch of different things with it, but this is the stuff that I do. So Chris says JQ was always my go-to tool. Yeah, so it was always my go-to tool as well. But over the last couple of years, I've had a bunch of recommendations for a tool called FX. And I tweeted a link to like a whole tutorial on this yesterday. I didn't actually drill into loads of it, but FX, so you can do FX just with dot and it'll like format it, or you can use it like this and it will give you this, but you can like collapse things. So, I mean, not so exciting on one level of JSON, but amazing for like being able to expand and collapse different multiple nested sets of JSON. I think this is really neat. So FX definitely has a place in my heart now, and something that I plan to work with more as I do more with our very JSON specific or JSON detailed libraries. So both of those tie in nicely with curl. We've already looked at HTTPie, which has a really nice pretty print as well, but if you need to do more, then curl, get the plain JSON, and then there are other tools that can go just a step beyond showing it. I've still got the debug open, so I'm gonna put the links for both JQ and FX into chat right now. So if you want to try either of these, then you can. So first up is JQ and also FX, which is going to be this one. Copy. Awesome. Yeah, so there's a couple of tools there for you to try. JQ's been around longer. They're both awesome, so I'm not sure, exactly how you'd want to choose between the two, but I think they're both really good. Diana says, JQ can handle layered JSON. Don't ask, it's part of my dark past. Wow, that took a turn in the middle of the sentence, Diana. Layered JSON. Like JSON with JSON inside? I think it's going to be so JQ can also handle the nested JSON. I just like the interactive FX for it. I think that's really nice. So those are tools that I use absolutely loads. And I'm quite command line focused because I'm typically keyboard only. I know that you see that I have the pointing device. That's just for controlling the stream. I don't use it when I'm actually doing work. So I really enjoy these terminal tools, and it means often that I can like pull content, grab it or grab some of it, pipe it into the next thing, capture it somewhere, use it for something important. So I really like that. But there are lots of times when you might not want to craft the perfect request from the command line. So I'm also going to show you my favorite GUI HTTP client as well, which is going to be Postman. I think Postman's amazing. I'm going to try and get the horse before the cart this time and post the link so you can grab it or have a look around while I'm talking. You might want to try and play it as well. You made me spit my water. That probably wasn't me, though, was it? I heard you like JSON in your JSON, so you can JSON whenever you want JSON. I mean, we do like JSON in our JSON around here. It's got to be said. So the link there is for Postman. It's a command line client. I have it over here showing off its new dark mode, which is, I think, pretty classy. And this is one of my favorite, if I'm going to do a GUI, it's usually going to be Postman for HTTP requests. Again, I work for an API company, so this is something that comes up a lot. Let's have a look at our planets. It's not an HTTPS, I've just typed that on absolute autopilot. Oh, there we are, planets. Is this the paid or the free version? It is the free version, but I am logged in. So it's the free version, but it has some settings and knows who I am and stuff. I actually don't know what you get for the paid version. I think everything I have here is the free version. Okay, so I sent the request, and with a bit of luck I should be able to scroll somewhere to see the response. I think I've just made this bit a bit small, that's all. There's the response. And because if we look at the headers, in the response it has the content type. So Postman knows this is application JSON. And the upshot of that is that it tries, as long as it's valid JSON, it will render and highlight it here. So you can view it, how did this come back? So you can view the raw to check, is my pretty print working or not? Or whatever else might not be clear from the pretty sort of manipulated version. It has some other cute things, but yeah. You can get it like this, which I think is really nice. So that's all lovely, and it's all responding off my little local app, and you're really welcome to grab the app, by the way, and play with that. That would be delightful. If you just want a really simple endpoint to play with, then you can grab that and run it locally. So it's pretty nice for trying out the different versions. The other thing that the planets endpoint does is it gives you this, you can also give a specific ID. And so for example, if I do /planet/2, then it returns Venus. Now you might think that that's because it's in position 2. No, it just does an array index on the back end. It's probably a dict, actually, it's Python. But the point is the same, is you can access individual resources here by adding this. One of the things I like the most about Postman is its kind of flexibility. Its ability for to allow you to reuse these saved requests. You can see I have a whole bunch hanging about in the left-hand bar. And you can use these saved requests and then kind of edit things about them. So if I do this and make a variable called position by typing :position, then it puts it here as a variable in the path variables section, because it's in the /this/that/the other, right? You can also do query parameters that are like this, and then it'll prompt you up here in the query parameters. I don't want that. I want this in the path parameters. So if I go back to this and give it a value, so you've already seen 2, so let's go with 4. Mars is a pretty good planet, right? And I send that request. It uses the value that I put here, and then you can see that the response changes as a result. Now, the difference between :position and putting the number 4 here is kind of minimal. But if you have a bunch of placeholders in a long URL, this stuff is amazing, because you can just save the request, goes into the sidebar somewhere, and then you can get it back out and just look at the parameters and change things. Everything's a bit squashed here because I've made the font size bigger in the hope that if you're watching this in a small window while you're supposed to be doing work, or on your phone, or any of the other ways that people do seem to watch Twitch, then you can usually there's a bit more space, and it's more obvious where you're going to add the parameters. So that's really nice. So I like this. This is something that I use a lot. I am also going to show you another Postman feature that I really enjoy, which is the environments feature. So with that, it's over here. And you can see I've got Lorna Nexmo, and then I've got this thing called Prism. If you watch the OpenAPI edition episode, what's a Twitch stream? Is it an edition or an episode? I need some technical support here, everybody. Is it an episode because it's like a show? Or is it like an edition? You do the first edition and then the spring edition and the summer edition? Anyway, if you watched the thing about OpenAPI, then you saw that we used a local mock server called Prism. So I have a set of settings for Nexmo, that's my actual live API endpoint. We've rebranded to Vonage. Mine is still called Nexmo. I'm not sorry. So there's like the live platform and then Prism, but you could do it if you had like a test platform or a local dev environment. I have a local mock environment called Prism, so I use that. It does things like Prism by default is here on the base URL. Looks like I've used it for the planets and flipped it. I've got some mock values for keys and secrets. So I can use those, and then by switching between the environment up here, I can, without changing the request, send the same stuff through to my local mock server on one port, or using the correct credentials, base URL and everything else, go through to the live API platform and show the right stuff there as well. So I think that's pretty amazing. Lauren says that they are episodes. Lauren is our queen of videos. So if Lauren says they're episodes, then I can call them episodes too. Awesome. Yeah, I think episodes works. So the episode about OpenAPI explains why one of my Postman environments is called Prism. That ability to make those web requests, change them a little bit and make them again really easily, for me is the main thing that a GUI tool has over something like the command line tool. Not that I don't have curl commands dumped into text files, I definitely do. But I really like this. And you can see straight away that I have a bunch of the things I use all the time open and saved here. So like send an SMS. That's here. I can do it with Prism. I can do it with the live platform. And either way, that works really well. I know that there are other HTTP clients around. Have I, with curl, HTTPie and Postman, have I covered your favourite? Or is there something else you would like to recommend? Please tell us in the chat. Just type in the box and tell me what you think works. Okay, we're getting an extra vote for HTTPie. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about HTTPie. Sometimes people try and tell me it's not as powerful as curl, but curl has more command line switches than I will ever use in a lifetime. So I'm not sure it's a problem. HTTPie does seem to have definitely the 80% of the features that I even use. So it seems like a really solid choice. Curl, I kind of have the muscle memory for curl, so I tend to have typed the curl command and all the switches and stuff, and I get most of the way through, and then I think, I do have other tools installed here, but I'm very attached to curl, and I know it well. We have a relationship going back a long way. You know, we got history, and so I do still tend to use it. And you've also seen that I hook up different JSON processors and pipe the output to things. So there's a bunch of stuff there that I find really, really handy. Awesome. Okay, what else is going on? Oh, we have a new follow. So I'm going to say hello to Silent69100. Thanks for the follow. I hope that you are enjoying this rant or ramble about some of my favourite tools. I often hear recommendations for things like Postwoman, which I actually haven't tried, but it's web-based, so I probably could try that. if your IDE has an HTTP client built in, often you can do a bunch with that. And maybe that's more convenient in some cases that you don't need to leave your browser. What else? If you're on a Mac, is it called Paw or Pause? Someone? I hear is great. And I usually get recommendations for something called Insomnia as well, which I have also not tried. I'm very attached to Postman. It has support for stuff that I care about. And it also has, you see how I have in my left-hand bar these different APIs. If you look on the Nextmo developer site, Vonage API developer site, the developer portal, then you can see this maps over to the APIs that we have. That's because we have OpenAPI documents for each of our APIs. So you can just import them into Postman and use them. And I really appreciate Postman has that. Like, I had to do something with Number Insight recently, so I just imported it here. And straight away I've got these pre-canned requests that I can just put creds into and then use. So that's incredibly useful. If I want to send, if I want to do a Number Insight lookup, then all I need to do is put the, where's the API key and secret in this? I think they're just parameters. Then I can put in the number that I want to look up. I can put in the country. I actually don't have to send that one, I don't think. If I put in the API key, and again, using the environment, here are my API key and API secret values. Oh, can't type. You have a, okay, Bald Bearded Builder says, there's also Postwoman, a web-based client. You have a link for that? And like, how easy is it? Should I try it live on stream or will I regret that? Let's send that to base URL Number Insight, something like this. And it sort of prompts you for everything that you need to send. I've done something wrong with this. You get the idea. Okay, we've got postwoman.io. All right. I'm going to copy that from over there where I got it. It's very similar to Postman. Let's have a look. Postwoman.io. Oh, amazing. So it shows me a request. Why does it show me a localhost request? Can it request to my localhost? Well, I guess I'm going to try that. Content type, this, that, the other. I don't want to do post. It's a get. I don't need to send anything. So I guess I'll click the button. Network error. Try enabling proxy. Oh. Should we try a more public API, maybe? That might be more fun. I know. How about Poker API? Definitely Poker API. I can't remember how to call this. Do a get to this, that, the other. Oop. Do a get to here. This button. Pick a Pokemon version. Any Pokemon version. Hey! And there's the response. Oh, that is quite nice. I'm sure it's not very high contrast actually on the stream. I'm going to try and make the font size bigger. The font size is a bit tasteful. But hopefully you can all read that it's all called different things in different places. Nice. Okay. This is a good recommendation. I'm being asked... I'm still mispronouncing this name. I'm just picking a different pronunciation every time, I think. Exegeta. Does Vonage have a specific app for documenting APIs? It's not a specific app, but we do use an open standard. So if you come to this is like the main page of the developer portal. If you come here and choose any of the API reference documentation, you'll end up on a page that looks like this. Exe is fine. Okay, cool. I can pronounce that. Thank you. That is within my skill set. I can raise to this challenge. Okay, so then we've got yeah, some documentation. So it shows you like, do a post to here, this is what you send in the URL, and then the parameters that you're going to send, and then it shows you this is the response that you will get back. You'll get the request ID, or if something goes wrong, you'll get some error text. So that's the documentation that we use. It's our own renderer. But if you look here, there's this download OAS3 definition button, which I think we might need to relabel. But anyway, if you download the OAS3 definition and save the file, then what you'll discover is that in the downloads directory, if I can try and find where I left my terminal, there it is. In the downloads directory, downloads, verify, presumably I've now downloaded like 17 of these. Okay, you get this, it's OpenAPI specification. So this describes every aspect of the, I shouldn't have just expanded all of that, it was a little bit confusing. Every aspect of it, so here you can see these are the different paths. That /format with the JSON is what you've just seen, and it describes, okay, so we've got, this is what you can send, here are all the parameters, here's the responses that you can get back. If you get a 200, it's going to look like this. And there's all a bunch of different stuff. So this machine readable YAML OpenAPI spec is then the documentation is then generated from this. So this is our source of truth, that we have this API description. The thing I was saying that I love about Postman is that I can import this file over there. So if I go here, import, find a file, you all get to find out what's in my downloads folder, I guess. And if I import that, then I get a new import as, replace it. Yeah, I work a lot on Verify API, so I will have already imported it. Here's Verify API. If I star it, it'll get a bit further up the list. And straight away you can go here. No, that's Number Insight. This Verify. You can go straight up here and immediately request a verification and start plugging in values here. So you can very quickly explore the API, make a request. I absolutely love this stuff. I think it's great. Bald Bearded Builder, did I cover what you wanted me to explain about how we generate our docs? The specs are public in a GitHub repo. We ingest them into our docs site and render documentation using some tools. There's a choice of tools. I sometimes use a different one if I am reading the docs locally. And then you can do other things. Please see the OpenAPI episode for more other things on this. Or if you're really interested, we can do some more stuff on this stream. I really don't have a problem with it. Exie says, hide the dog pics before opening the downloads folder. That's a euphemism, right? Okay. Cool. So did I answer all of everybody's questions about API docs? Do we want to talk about that some more? Shall I show you something else? I had a list. Here we go. Oh, cool. Yes. So I've shown you a bunch of actively trying to avoid the euphemism of cat pics. I have a lot more cat pics than dog pics because there is a cat that lives in my house. He's not very clever, but he is very handsome. There are not that many on my work computer actually, but I could probably find you one if I needed to. What's the meaning to life, the world, and everything? Life, the universe, and everything? 42? Just don't ask me what the question is. Awesome. Okay. Next new tool I want to show you is HTTPbin. And again, I'm going to paste the link into the chat before I talk too much, so you could click the link and play along if you want to. Exie asks, do you happen to know if you can generate client code from OpenAPI YAML like Swagger? That's more than one question. I'm going to start with Swagger. It's not called Swagger anymore. The new standard is called OpenAPI, and because I contribute to the OpenAPI spec, I'm really trying to encourage people to upgrade to OpenAPI and to call it OpenAPI. Do you happen to know if you can generate client code from OpenAPI YAML? Yes, you can. So that I'm up for a tangent. Let's do that. So I'm using something called OpenAPI Generator, which is one of the OpenAPI tools thing. So it's this. It has like a proper website. Here we go. Start with the proper website. I've been using this. Sorry, if you were hoping to see HTTPbin, you'll have to wait. Or shout louder in the chat than the other person. I think that's the only way. This is OpenAPI Generator. In theory, it can generate servers. I have not tried that because I work for an API company and they don't let me write the APIs. Okay, we have people for that. But I have generated some different clients. And it's working pretty well, if I'm honest. It's working, I like it. It's working pretty well for me. So something like the, where was I when I was doing that? Here we are. Something like this verify API spec. You can feed this spec, the downloaded YAML that you saw when I clicked the big download OAS3 definition button. You can feed that into this OpenAPI generator and it will output a client of your choice. So I'm using this with the, I'm working on a new Go SDK and I have been using this. So the next release, there's like an alpha release out at the moment, but the next release of our Go SDK will have generated code that actually talks to the API and then a handmade wrapper to make it a bit nicer to use than generated code. If you want to see the Go example, let me know and I can dig about in there, but I don't want to blind you with code if that's not your thing. So that is hilarious that you were like, tell someone to get some tea. I had a bit of a stress because I had emptied the credit on my Vonage account before I started the stream and I realised, so I was like trying to get someone to top it up, but all the running around, I didn't actually make my cup of tea before I started my stream. So I'm kind of hoping that my husband might bring one. I don't know. And he doesn't watch me on Twitch, so we'll see. I'll let you know if a cup of tea arrives. Awesome. API is Alligator Party Island. Ben, is that the best acronym you can come up with? I'm disappointed. I'd like to see what else you can achieve here in this space of the API acronym question. T, Earl Grey. No, T, builders. I'm British. If the T has a name, you're doing it wrong. Pretty sure we have video of me making tea on this stream as well. Like I do all this technical content and the most watched clip is like I got a teapot. I don't really know how that happened. It's all fine. 1 week we'll go in the kitchen and we'll do tea and cake or something. That would be amazing. Exy says, oh no. OpenAPI generator uses JDK. All right, I'm going to show you stuff. It's fine because it's not. When I stream, I have too many windows open. You can probably tell when you see me alt tab, and I can just literally not get the focus where I need it. Okay, so we are going to go digging for hacky scripts Lorna has lying around on her computer. So let's start here. This is the generator command. Oh no, OpenAPI generator uses JDK. It does, but it's got this Docker wrapper, so it kind of doesn't bother me. I just use this, and as you can tell, I literally paste it out the file, edit which spec I'm doing, and then get some output code. So for example, it looks like the last thing I generated was the voice API. So we have a different OpenAPI spec for voice, and it's here, and I use a couple of switches when I generate the Go code, which is package name, voice. We support lots of APIs, so if you're only building a client for one, then this wouldn't matter. But for lots of APIs, I'm putting each one in its own directory within my Go project, and then it's got a matching package name. That's how that works. The generator I'm using is Go. There's also a Go experimental. It seems like too many pointers. I may change my mind on that, but that's where I am at the moment. And then the -o is for the path that it outputs to. So it puts, you mount this directory as /local, and then it outputs to out Golang voice. So let's have a look at the generated output. Please let me know if this is too much. cd out Golang voice. So this is what I get. It reads the spec and then it generates this. So I've got the config, client and API default files, which by coincidence start up here on the top left hand side. Those kind of wrap the HTTP calls, they handle the auth, all those kinds of things just happen all the time. And that's just reusable. I quite like that it just wraps it up for me. For Go and for any of the strongly typed languages or a language where you want to use data types, these generated models are amazing. They make such a big difference because they know how to serialize themselves for sending and then how to unserialize themselves. So let me try and think about what's a not too complicated model. Let's try Go, the model 2. So yeah, it's a type, which is a string, and then it's a number, and we represent the numbers as strings as well. So then I can just use 2 anywhere I need to send that, and it knows that it has to have these 2 fields, but it reads that off the spec. So you can generate all of this, and what you end up with, the Ruby generated code, is very complex. The Go generated code looks like a machine wrote it because it did. But then what I've done on my end, sorry, you're getting a whole SDK. This is like a whole Go. I mean to stream about the Go SDK sometime, right? So let's just do a little intro. You can let me know if that's interesting, and I'll cover it in detail in the future at some point, maybe on my stream rather than this one. But I can't talk and type at the same time. Okay. Nexmo community has a Nexmo Go repo, and I'm working on refactor OAS branch, which is the only open pull request right now, and it's quite a big refactor, and it's to move us over to this generated code in a strongly typed language. Being accurate against the API endpoints and all the data types there is really, really important. So this will make, if we add an endpoint or a new field, it'll make staying in sync and being precise about it that much easier. So what I have here, you're probably going to find out I've got a load of test scripts and stuff. What I have here is the directories like numbers, SMS, verify, voice. These are all APIs. So each one of those contains the generated code. And then, for example, verify, there's a verify.go, and that contains the code that the user will interface with. So there's quite a lot of wrappers. I've got some examples in the README. So when you, I wonder why that doesn't fold. I've done something wrong. When you do verify API, then it looks something like this. So you need to auth with your creds, create a verify client, and then do the request, send some variables. So I've tried to keep that part quite manageable and handle the optional parameters in the verify opt that's there, but that's something that I've created. That's not generated. So it's a mix. I think it's really important to have, if you're going to publish an SDK, it should be more than generated code. Generating the kind of the internals and writing a user-facing layer that calls into that, I think, is a really solid approach. Otherwise, people could just generate their own. There's no need for you to publish one. But yes, I think The generated code is not the nicest code. Like, we could probably do it better ourselves if we handcrafted it. But for accuracy, for rapid development, and for maintainability, I think this is magic. And I'm really, really enjoying it. Okay, awesome. This is the best tangent we've had in ages. Thank you, Exy. I'm having a nice time. Shall I try and get back on track? I'm not sure if I need to be back on track. There's a bunch of things that I can tell you about. I forgot to mention that if you are new to Vonage API and you want to sign up, or if you've already signed up and you want to add some credit, then you can use the coupon that you can see on the bottom of the page, and I will find the sign up link that I have here. Here it is. So if you want to just either sign up and have a play or sign up and dig around our API stuff, then that would be great. Exy says, that was a great tangent. Wasn't it a great tangent? That was fun. Thank you for the details. That will impact my API development going forward. Okay, I'm chuffed. That's really good. I think the OpenAPI stuff, we're all finding our way. So if my stuff makes sense to you, that actually makes me feel better. That's awesome. So there's the sign up link. Coupon is visible on screen if you would like to use it. Cool. Where was I? Httpbin. Let me just try not to actually leave my Vim in edit mode. Occasionally I come back to my desk in the morning and there's like 8 files open with unsaved changes and I don't know, Ngrok running or something. It's not clever. Okay, we talked about OpenAPI generator. That's great. Forgive my colonial English. Chuffed is good. Chuffed is really, really good. It is quietly, internally, and understatedly pleased. Okay. Here's HTTPbin. Good. So HTTPbin, this is a hosted service. You can see I'm using it on httpbin.org. But straight at the top there, it shows you run locally, and there's another Docker command. So you can have this on your local machine for reliability or just for not having to have good enough connection to get out to a bunch of different things all the time. What HTTPbin gives you is a known response to any HTTP request. So if you want to test that your application responds as you'd hope when it receives a 429 status code, then you can switch out the URL that your API calls to something that HTTPbin provides, and it will respond with the expected code. So for example, we can do /status/ whatever we want. Let's stick with Postman for this. How many tabs have I got open in Postman? Actually not that many, but it just seems like a lot with the font size this big. I don't want to make it tiny so you can't see, so we'll just live with it. HTTP, oh come on, what's that P doing there? httpbin.org status, and then the status that you want. 429's there, so that will do nicely. So 429 is normally a rate limiting response. So this is something that is difficult or annoying to reproduce. I don't mean it as a challenge, okay? I know that you can exceed your rate limits on our servers and achieve the 429 response. You'll also get yourself blacklisted if you do that correctly. So instead, let's take the easy route and just get something else to return as that 429 so that we can check that our code responds in the way that we want it to. So I send this request, the response comes back, and you can see straight away 429 too many requests. The user has sent too many requests in a given amount of time. Okay, perfect. I think it's actually only a draft response, but it's a good one. So you can have like, oh, something's happened, or the resource I'm hitting isn't there anymore, so it's a 410. Then you can see the status code comes back as a 410. and you immediately get that response, which I think is beautiful. There's a bunch of other cool things that HTTPbin does, where in addition to just replying with a known, like, set response, it can also reply with information about the request, which is quite useful for diagnostics. The one I use the most is this, httpbin.org/headers. And what that does is, if we have a quick look at the response, can I resize this a little bit? Yes. If we have a quick look at the response, you can see I've got a headers element. Again, we can admire the nice JSON formatting that I get from Postman. But you can see here, it shows me all the headers that Postman sent. I didn't send any particular headers, but that's what I got back. Okay, if I start making, if I start sending more headers, so this is headers. If I start sending, I don't know, let's send some kind of custom header. Apparently I'm not very good at naming things today. Send that to HTTPbin, get it back, and it should be here. It's here, xcustom. It's in the response. So this is really helpful for if you, I don't know, like maybe you are not sure if you're sending the correct accept header. The thing that trips me up in Postman all the time is that it accepts gzip. It sends this accept encoding header, which isn't always what you want. Top tip for Postman is, I need to resize this way now. Top tip for Postman is there's a button and they are hidden by default. So if you think there are extra headers, unhide them, and then I found unticking didn't help, but if you send nothing, if you send an empty string here, I can't actually change it. If you override that header, accept encoding, there it is, giving me a nice autocomplete. Accept encoding and an empty space, then it won't send that gzip header. I've seen it confuse intermediate, really basic tools. I've seen it confuse those where they're not expecting a gzip header because you're going to get 2 words of JSON or something. So I can test that by sending the request to HTTPbin and having a look at what it sends back to me. So that's quite nice. That's an endpoint that I use quite a lot, and I love that it's got this web front end that just lets you have a look around. It's got request inspection, it's got response inspection, it lets you request, I need some different types of, you can actively request some gzip data and see how that is handled. We can request some HTML data. In fact, let's do that, because Postman has a way of showing us that as well. Is it just HTML? Yeah, so you get this, that's the pretty, that's the raw, probably pretty similar. But you also get the preview, yeah, so it renders the header and then the content there under the preview tab. So yeah, some really cute things there. So that's HTTPbin. Another one that I use a lot is RequestBin. I'm not sure if any of you remember RunScope. Anyone? They were an amazing API startup with a bunch of really awesome tools a few years ago. And like a bunch of startups, they didn't make it, but their tooling was just ahead of its time. And RunScope published a tool called RequestBin, which is no longer available as a hosted tool, but it's something that I use a lot. So let's check that out. All these links are here, by the way, in that Git repo that I challenged Chris with earlier. In fact, let me just refresh and check my pull request list. See if we've corrected discrimination against dwarf planets. We haven't, so that's easy. Okay, cool. RequestBin. So yeah, RequestBin no longer exists as a hosted tool on the internet. So it was always an open source tool. You can see where I forked it from. Sadly, I don't seem to be able to find anyone that still has access to that repo, and it's archived now. So I'm recommending my fork. and trying to pull in the best pull requests that I find to maintain this as best I can. As you can see, I'm a little bit ahead of the original master branch now. So this includes an update to make it run when Heroku updated their build packages. I don't know what that. Actually, I don't know what Heroku updated, but it stopped working. So I merged some pull requests that made it work, and it works. It's also got a commit for build packs. That's the word. Thanks, Exy. It's also got some commits, and the credit goes to someone else for this, to make it work with Python 3, which is standard now. So that's also great. There's more Python tools. Does anyone spot a theme here? Httpbin is made of Python 2. It's also made of Python. It's not made of Python 2. Let me try that again. Httpbin is also Python under the hood. Right. It's not. I don't think it's made of Python 2. That would be weird. Okay. Right. So you can, for example, click the deploy to Heroku and it deploys. If anyone knows why, when I click to deploy it to Heroku, it gets a bit like, it's just really flaky. I don't really know why. It is really, really flaky. Every other page load will fail, but if you repeat it, it works. So I need to work on the Heroku deployment because I'm not sure what's causing that intermittent 404. I've probably configured something incorrectly because I don't know Heroku that well. I don't know Flask that well either. You can run it locally. I find it rock solid locally. It's got this Docker setup, and I find that works really, really well. And you can also deploy it. And I tried to deploy it to a cloud that I haven't used before called Clever Cloud. So let's see if I can still hit this endpoint. Nope. Yes, I can. Awesome. So the way this works is you create a bin and then you send requests to that bin and you can inspect them. So I've created a new bin. It's given me a URL. My app URL is not that pretty on Clever Cloud, but hey, the system works, so that's cool. So I can send requests to that URL and then inspect them. So let's use Postman. I'm going to send a request to the bin, and I'm going to set a query parameter, and I'm going to set answer, and you can see it straight up editing the URL up there as well. Answer 42, send. The request bin responds, and it'll always send us a 200 OK with just OK as the body. And if I go back to my browser and refresh this page and hope that it loads, here's the request that came in. So you can see there it is. That's the sort of the path that was attached to it. There's some query string data here. Can you even see this? Let me make it bigger. Is that better? I think it's better. Okay. Yeah, and then you can see all the headers that were sent, and some extra headers that I didn't send, but someone sent. There's the accept encoding that I was complaining about, and the user agent that it came from Postman. Similarly, if I send another request, but maybe this time with curl, and it's the same URL, but this time we'll use a different string. We sent a request, back in the browser, refresh the page. This time we can see it came from a different user agent, and we can inspect the query string. So I use request bin for two things. One, I use it to check that I am sending the API request I think I am. Sometimes you make an API call, you're expecting a response, and you don't get the response you expected, but you don't know if it's you or them. So when I switch my root URL to be the new request bin, and then it attaches whatever form parameters or JSON body or whatever, and sends it all up here, then I can have a look what I'm actually sending without having to do a lot of adding a lot of diagnostics to my application. And that's really cool because I feel like if you have to make a lot of changes to add instrumentation to your app, all that happens is you realize you have a Heisenberg, which is not there until it's there, and then you try and look for it and then it's not there anymore. it's frustrating. So being able to change the base URL and setting it to something like this is incredibly valuable. I'm super sad it's no longer available as a hosted platform. As you can see, I've just deployed this myself. Or if it's a local application, I really often just run this locally in Docker just to spin something up and give me something to look at. So the first thing that I use it for is, am I sending the API call? I think I am. Sanity check. The second one is sometimes I use a publicly accessible request bin to catch webhooks. So for example, if you build with the SMS API, in fact we could do this in a minute if you want. If you build with the SMS API, then incoming SMS messages arrive as webhooks, and then your program is supposed to acknowledge the webhook and react to it. But when you're just developing, sometimes it's helpful to just first of all see the webhook arrive and what does it look like. And request bin is one of the ways that you can do that, and that's really neat. So I might try and give that a go actually. If I let's buy an XMO number and try and text to it. The hard part of this is texting the number correctly. Let's start by searching for a number. Let's search for a number. I want a UK number, so cheap, from my mobile, and I'm going to SMS to it. So I need SMS capability. So here are all the numbers that I can buy today. I would like this one. Pick a number. I'm having that one with a 3 on the end. Nexmo number. Buy that number, please. Confirm, yes. Awesome. Okay, so I've bought a number, and what I can do now is set up how that number will behave when I SMS to it. So if I do Nexmo link SMS, and then the number that I just bought, and then, no, bonus M, and then the URL that the bin is on. Amazing. Awesome. So now if I text that number, I think we'll just cheat. I should be able to text from the command line for a UK to UK number. Okay. Confirm. Well, it reckons it sent it, so that's a good start. So when that message hits the Nexmo servers, I might have to refresh it a few times here. When it hits the Nexmo servers, then it should get forwarded through to this endpoint if I did it right. Oh, come on. Well, and if I can still send on an internal route, maybe not. I'm going to give this one more try, but I don't want to dwell on it because the next tool I'm going to show you is Ngrok, and it's amazing. And I want to wrap up with it, so I don't want to get too carried away, but I am just going to give myself one more chance at texting that correctly. Right. So let's text the number. I haven't got my screen share on my phone plugged in today, so you'll have to just believe me that I am texting. Right, here we go. It's 74512 89903 745 128 9903. Awesome. And we will send a message. Cool. So I think I sent a message. If it doesn't arrive this time, then I definitely did something wrong with the webhook. Hey, there it is. That's me. Yeah, okay, so the real text message worked. That makes sense. So you can see this is the GET request that comes in. And by default, the incoming SMS webhook on the Vonage SMS API is all a GET request. You can switch it to POST. You probably want to. I have my account on all the default settings so that my demos work out the box for new users. So that's kind of how I approach it. So you can see there, we do this keyword thing. So when you text in and it says start your message with the word, then that's what that is. You can see the message, that the number that it came from, that's my burner work phone. And you can see the text that I sent. I sent, hello, this is fun. I can't highlight because I don't normally mouse, but and you can see the headers, the user agent there coming from Nexmo Messaging Hub. So that's pretty cool. Being able to inspect that stuff, and in a voice call and in the Messages API stuff, there's a bunch of events that happen, not just incoming messages, but also this message was delivered, this message was read. So being able to inspect those while you're still building support in your own application, I think is just super helpful. So big thumbs up for Requestbin. I'm sorry that the project is not well maintained, but I still I use it, I recommend it, and I'm doing my best to maintain a fork. So that's a big recommendation from me. Okay, talking too much. Let me know if you are still alive in the chat, and I guess if not, I will just play with Ngrok by myself on the internet. Here's the link for Ngrok. If you're not familiar with Ngrok, this is one that if you've been watching the other episodes in this stream, you've definitely seen Ngrok. Ngrok allows us to connect our local developer platforms to the public internet. So it enables us to do things like receive that webhook from the incoming SMS into our local development platform. So you can actually receive messages without having to push your code publicly. I mean, you can push to the cloud every time. It gets on my nerves really fast. So Ngrok does that. I always advocate Ngrok as being a tool that is for webhooks, but it's by far the only use case for Ngrok. So Ngrok gives you the ability to share your local platform publicly. So you can test that your website looks okay on your phone, or send a link to your manager or to your friend who can probably fix your front end problem. That's a thing that happens to me a lot. This is a much better way of explaining it. As I was saying that sentence, Exie wrote, Ngrok is awesome for showing off a development environment to stakeholders. Yes, exactly. If people need to see how it's going, either you want to show them or they are interested, you want to keep people engaged with the work that you're doing, Ngrok's really valuable for that. It's also really valuable for letting the Vonage API servers reach your dev code, which is what we're going to do next. So, I shared you a link to Ngrok. I already have it installed. This is one where I do have the paid plan. I don't have the paid plan for very many things. Just there are lots of tools where you don't need it. But I'll say straight up, I do have the paid plan for Ngrok. And what that paid plan gives me is the ability to have a static URL that doesn't change. So it's always the same. And that's brilliant because it means I don't need to update my endpoints every day. However, today that's fine. We're going to just start afresh. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to start a new tunnel. It's an HTTP tunnel and it points to port 5000. What's running on port 5000? The Planets application. However, the Planets application has a sneaky hidden feature, which is that it also has a /webhook endpoint, which will just output what you sent to it. Yeah, there's the pricing link. No, that's fine. No, that's fine. We can. It's not a secret, but it's okay to talk about the pricing for Ngrok. Also, I've forgotten what other features you get with it, but yes. So I'm going to start an Ngrok tunnel, and when I do that, you get this console output, and it gives you a URL. You're going to use this one. There's two. You're going to use this one. It's the HTTPS URL. Let's copy that. And it also gives you this web interface. So if I copy that, and you see, I knew I was going to focus the wrong browser, and I still copied it instead of clicking, but I still focused the wrong browser. Here we go. If you open that in your browser, interesting stuff is going to happen here. Okay, so I'm going to take that URL, and I'm going to link it to the same phone number that I used before. I just can't remember if it's /webhook or /webhooks. README says /webhook. Good. Let's do that. So Flask app is running. I've got the SMS. I'm going to do that link SMS command again, but instead of sending the links to the hosted request bin, I'm going to send them to my Ngrok URL ending with /webhook. Just going a bit slow today for some reason, making me pause. Oh, right. Then we can come look at Ngrok. I'm just going to quickly text the number. In fact, let's watch it in the console because it's a bit more real time. I'm just going to text the number. There's the text. Oh, that's my phone trying to send a message. I think my microphone is super sensitive. Okay, so we've got a 200 OK came into our webhook. So I've got two things that I can do here. First of all, let's have a look at what my running application did. So this is the output of the Planets app that's running, and you can see it's showing me this is the data that I understood from that. So your application can receive the data and do whatever it wants. In my case, it just logs stuff. Code Hustle says, hey, hope you're well. Code Hustle, I am having the best day talking about HTTP tools on the internet with some cool other geeks. So I am better than well. How are you? I hope you are well as well. Cool. So that's the Flask app. It receives the data and just dumps it out. But your application could do something more interesting with this, maybe. What's really amazing about this is first of all, Nexmo can reach my local running development platform, and because I have a public URL for it, and I get that extra web console. Here's what came in. It's the get webhook, and we can see that my message this time was sending messages is fun. I really need to save some SMS templates to make this stuff faster. I'm pretty sure it is not a spectator sport watching me text. But you can see this is the number that we sent it to. This is the words that came in. If we wanted to reply to the message, we get that in this Misden field, which is the number that it came from. Like I said, it's my burner work phone. And we just responded with an OK. So that's all that the webhook does, is it sends the webhook endpoint does, is it sends the 200 OK and just a body of OK as well. So that's good enough. You can send to anything, a 200-ish status to the Vonage servers, but you must acknowledge that webhook, otherwise you get retries. Let's say that this arrived, but our application did something that we didn't expect or didn't handle the request really well. Then the magic here is, oh look, I can replay this request. I can literally click this button and send it again. So I don't have to send a text every time. You know, that's going to hurt my phone bill if I do it wrong enough times. I don't have to keep on repeating the action. I'm sure we've all built GitHub integrations where we had like an issue with 100 comments where we were testing that the bot did the right thing with the comment. None of that, because Ngrok, as well as opening the tunnel, gives us the ability to replay the requests, and it's so helpful. Toby says, Vonage registration form doesn't work in Brave browser with shields up. Ah, Toby, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I can't fix it right this second, but I can pass that on. So let me just pause and put it on my list. Brave browser, shields up. Got it. Maybe you could turn your shields down a bit and still sign up anyway. Might be fun. I'm sending messages. We have more messages than SMS, so there's a bunch of things that we can do. Code Hustle is watching during lunch. Oh, enjoy lunch. That's I don't like to talk too much about food. I get hungry. Awesome. Oh, it's done. Okay, good. You did register. Excellent. Yeah, I'll pass that on. I think we fixed some stuff lately, but it sounds like not for that combination. So let me follow up on that. Thank you for mentioning it. Awesome. Okay, so that was Ngrok. I feel like Ngrok is the most fundamental of the tools that I use. It's the one that's everywhere. It doesn't take long to show you though. Like you just install it and you type that incantation Ngrok, HTTP, port number, and things just happen from there. Like I say, I do have a paid plan, so if I know I'm going to be working on the same application loads, I can set the webhook to be the same URL every time I start the tunnel, which is really useful. But you saw me update the number configuration there. It wasn't hard. So there's a bunch of things you can do there. Toby says, ping me on Twitter. Yeah, I guessed who you were, Toby. Thank you, I will. I appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay. So today, I've shown you a bunch of stuff. I linked all the tools off the GitHub repo README, which I'll just paste that one link again, I guess. It's this one. And I will paste that again. So that's the Planets app that I used. If you scroll down the README, it's got a bunch of tools listed that I really enjoyed. Is there anything else you want to mention, share, I should have covered, or that you want to ask? We did quite a fun diversion in the middle, looking at some of the generated code. And if you're interested in that, I think that's something that you might see more of. What else can I tell you? We've got we've just launched a thing, but it's going to run for a long time, which is called Vonage Voyagers. So if you're using our APIs and you want some fun swag and some early access, and we just want to get to know you better, then you can sign up for that. That's my Ngrok URL. That's a really valid point. So let's start with, I will just stop my Ngrok tunnel. Yes. I'll try again at copying and pasting. There's one. That's the GitHub project. Also incoming is the link to sign up for the Voyagers scheme. So if you want to know, if you just want to be a bit more in touch about what we're doing from a developer point of view, it's my team that owns this, you won't get sales emails. Then that's the link for that as well. To kind of join that scheme and be part of it. There's an application process, but just, it would be good to get this crowd, I think, involved. I think, we have good conversations about APIs here, and I would like that. What else? The next episode. The next episode, I'm planning to show some of the other messaging capabilities that we have. There's a new API called Messages API. It does WhatsApp as well as SMS and some other stuff, Viber, Facebook Messenger. And it also has some of those moving parts that I talked about with the read receipts, so your code can react to those. So I'm planning to cover some of that in the next episode. Join us if that sounds interesting. As always, bring your questions. This is the Ask Us Anything show. So this is where I like you to pop in and tell me what's interesting, what you're working on, what we should have made easier, or just ask me how to do a thing. Even if I don't know, it'll show up in the next episode when I've rounded up someone to tell me. Cool. Any other questions or anything else I should cover? I'm just having a quick rummage on my list. I feel like I've got most things. You can see the coupon code. So especially if you are just signing up, Toby, put the coupon code in. It gives you some credit, but it also unlocks some stuff on your account. I've talked about Voyagers. Check that out and tell your friends, because I think that would be excellent. Gregor's man says hello. Code Hustle, great. Have a thank you. Have a good rest of the week. Code Hustle, you have a lovely rest of the week as well. I hope your lunch was really tasty. Kind of wrapping that up there. So yeah, definitely bring your questions. So I am here alternate Wednesdays. next Wednesday, so therefore next Wednesday won't be me, but you should tune in anyway because the low code hour is in that slot, and I think that's a huge amount of fun. I normally watch Twitch on the weeks that I'm not here being on Twitch. It's like a regular slot in my calendar. And Gregor's man is also followed. Thanks for the follow, mate. Really good to have more of you kind of on the stream and being here pretty regularly. I'm always happy to hear from you in between, so just tweet at us. We're Vonage Dev on Twitter, and keep the conversation going. Or requests for other topics are also fair game. Perfect. I'm just going to leave it there. Please have a great week, and I will talk to you soon.